What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a special guest all the way from Austin, Texas. This man's a living legend. He is a UFC fighter, entrepreneur, speaker, TV host, Green Beret, black belt in jiu-jitsu. This guy's done it all. Guys, please help me welcome the Savage, Tim Kennedy. What's up, my brother?
Hey. I was gonna just hear all my vanquished foes screaming like pains and screams of agony during those intros. They're like, ah!
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I mean, you really have accomplished quite a bit in your life, man. So, kudos to
getting going.
Yeah, I know, right? There's so much life left to live. How's everything been going with you so far, with, the lockdown and then, now Texas opening up a little bit, how's that adjustment been for you so far?
Yes.
So I never really, everyone in my family's super healthy. I live kind of in the country. Mm-hmm. I live on land. I have chickens. The gyms I go to are private. So the crew or the nucleus of nothing changed in my life during the lockdown. I never locked down. There wasn't a single day that I didn't train 2 times a day. There wasn't a single day that I wasn't at work every single day. I never laid anybody off. I never furloughed anybody. There was no new normal for us. There was never any change. We all just, arguably I'm in better shape than I was 6 months ago. Maybe just a little bit balder, but that's just from teenage girls. Problem.
Yeah. Well, it's, and it's pretty mind blowing that, you said that you've been training, 2 times a day pretty consistently. It's mind blowing to me that no one in, the mainstream media and not a lot of politicians are really talking about, preventative healthcare through strength training, through meditation, through eating healthy. It's all about these mask mandates and, lockdowns. Why do you think that there's no discussion about, actually taking care of your body, taking care of your mental health so that you can be more prepared for when things like this occur?
Dude, you're just diving right into it. Why?
I couldn't wait. I've been excited, man. Yeah, I've been excited.
They like weak people, man. That's what they want. They want weakness. Weakness can be controlled. Weakness can be told what to do. Weakness can be manipulated. Weakness can sit there and be governed. But that's not what America is. That's not what America was. That's not who we are. We're rebels, right? We're the original insurgents. We're like the first to overthrow the biggest, most powerful military on the planet, which was the British at the time. And so that's who I am. That's who I am at my core. That's who my friends are. And so to answer your question specifically is they don't want to talk about preventative measures. They don't want to talk about healthy America because they want weak people. They want people attached to their nipple. They want people, asking for a handout. They want free Medicaid. They want free Medicare. They want free every form of healthcare, education. While I believe every person should have access to that, when somebody gives it to you, there's no point in earning it anymore. There's no point of having to work for it. There's no initiative. There's no individual responsibility. All of those characteristics, which has made us the greatest country on the planet, those are gone.
That's so true, man. It's so true. Cause it's just like, you're taking that factor of there's nothing to put your back against the wall anymore. What do you got to work for now? The accountability factor.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of brilliant greatness that came out of the most hospitable environments imaginable? When you look at entrepreneurs from Bill Gates to, now Tim Cook, and before Tim Cook, who's the founder of Apple?
Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Steve Jobs. Yeah. Were they sitting in a, multi-million-dollar mansion surrounded by a bunch of tech geniuses?
No, garage.
No, where were they?
Yeah, garage.
Every one of them, right? They're figuring out how can I do this? Arnold Schwarzenegger, were they feeding him off of a platter every one of his meals?
That'd be epic if I could see that.
That would be epic.
That would be
but
interesting.
when you go back to the beginning of,
Right.
I'm using extreme examples, of course, but from Beethoven to every moment of brilliance, it comes from struggle and it comes from failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
we say
those
that
two
all the time.
things,
Yep.
you never have success.
It's so much truth. And I say it all the time. We had a few podcasts where we were saying like a lot of people too, they're not willing to accept their failure and capitalize off of it, and understand that failure is feedback and that's what's going to make you successful. And most of these people have all gone through those moments of failure, living at the lowest, having to push through to get somewhere in life. It's not just like, oh, I was born into this, like you were saying, living in this mansion. No, they started off in a garage. And I think it's just like, things are just getting easier, hand me outs, people want things falling on their lap, the golden platter, because he has it, or she has it, I should have it too, or I deserve this. And I'm like, guys, you don't deserve shit the moment you're born. The moment you're born and you come out of your mom's legs, you don't deserve shit. You got to go earn your shit, plain and simple.
Yeah, like Jeff Bezos right now. It seems like everybody's like talking about how can they get that Bezos money. Like, it's not your money. It's his money. Do you know how it's his money? Because he took nothing. It was nothing. And he created the most powerful, most wealthy business on the planet right now. And he did that in one generation. He did that in one decade.
It's incredible. Yeah. I mean, the resiliency that people really need to have nowadays, to find whatever their success is going to be. I think, it doesn't come without those hardships, like you can't build grit without going through some real events in your life, from gaining trauma and having to overcome it.
We're talking, kind of philosophically, but when you talk about, whether it's entrepreneurial or health, it's still the same thing. Like we can go back to COVID, where I argue if you walk down this hall and you grab my 5-year-old or my 1-year-old or even my teenage daughters, and you took a hypodermic needle full of COVID. You first have to murder my wife because she's not going to let you stab her baby. You injected it into the neck of my 1-year-old breastfed 99 percentile. That little girl's already lifted weights.
That's amazing. I love that.
Chickens around. Like, thank God she hasn't caught a chicken yet because she'll tear its head off. She'd be pooping out COVID moments later and not even a change in her day. And that's because she's a healthy little girl, right? Like my wife, I hate it when she exercises with me because she's really good at exercise. My 5-year-old, where it's like, Daddy, do you think I can do 2 backflips now? I was like, you're 5, maybe wait. And he's like, no, I'll do it. And then he does it. And you're like, yeah, it's going to be rough,
Yeah.
But the moral is individually, every single one of them is healthy. When they start talking about these comorbids and all of these sick people that were, they're over the age of 65 and they on average had 3 or more comorbids. I was like, how do we have that many people that are so sick?
Yeah. Yeah. They said some statistic came out. It was like 44% of American adults now are obese. It's the first time we've ever had over 40%. It's 44%. It's incredible how unhealthy we are as a nation.
And then I think too, those are the same people that are out there so hyper focused on because that person is not wearing masks, so they're the problem, or they're not using hand sanitizer. That was guys, if you were so worried about your health right now, why weren't you worrying about it before?
Yeah.
If this is such a big problem for you, you should have been trying to solve this problem years ago before you let yourself become obese and sick.
Yeah, I don't even know anybody that has a comorbid, not one. Not because I'm selectively looking for genetic freaks, but just the community, the culture of the people that I'm around every single day. We work, you ask any one of my kids, yep, we work out every single day. We always get good grades. Speak another language. I play another instrument. And that's just the standard. And so there's not a worry. There wasn't a single day during any of this pandemic where there's any fear in this house. It's just all right, we're going to go do another day.
Yeah. And I think it's important to not let it consume your life. Being down here in Miami, it's a pretty liberal city, but in a very conservative state, Florida. And it's always interesting to kind of see the back and forth from some of the people within the community. Like, oh, I want to be able to go to a restaurant and not have to wear a mask. Some restaurants are like, well, even when the waiter comes up, you have to put a mask on. Then you can take it off when he leaves. It's like, well, what is the point of that?
Yeah, I don't know this, but as a business owner, I want to be able to do whatever I want.
Agreed.
And if I'm walking into a business and that business is saying this is what you got to do, I'm going to do it. Because
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Now, is there logic to it? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if I want to be a patron of that business, with that said, I also am I discriminate about where I spend my dollars by what they tell me to do. Right. I can't go into a Starbucks because they say you're not supposed to have a gun, and you're never going to find me without a gun.
Amen.
Let's go.
And just on principle alone, I'm not going to walk in there.
Mhm.
And I do the same thing. And I hope other people do the same thing. Vote with your dollars.
Yeah. I think, having said that, voting with your dollars, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. It's kind of been ironic when you see like the cancel culture, like going after Goya foods, and then their stock actually booms afterwards, right? Because people are now saying like, okay, you're attacking a hardworking American who's trying to make a living and is very successful at doing so. And
second generation immigrant.
Right. And think about all if you try to bankrupt that business, you know how many people are going to lose their job? Don't you exactly like saying that you're for, the underprivileged, the lower class, but then you're trying to cancel giant companies that bring a lot of money to a lot of people's households. It's insane to me.
Yeah. Anytime from cancel culture to Black Lives Matter and defund the police, it really comes down to the generous sincerity of your position. And when I look to what everyone is trying to do compared to what they're trying, what they say they're going to do, if you're like, I want change because of systematic racism, I'm like, cool, I'm all on board for that. I believe in Black lives. I want to, if there's a problem, let's address it and let's change it. And then they're like, let's defund the police. I was like, so you don't understand economics, right? Like if we have a poor Black community and you want that poor Black community to not be poor anymore, you put a bunch of police in there. They have stability. With stability becomes jobs. With jobs becomes education. And in one generation, you have education, you have jobs, and then you have fewer poor people. Boom, magic. How does that work? It first comes from legitimate security within a geographic area for people to prosper through commerce. And this has been proven for the past 1,000 years of historic, in every imaginable way, about how do you take somebody out of poverty, you make it a stable environment, and then let commerce grow, and then great things happen.
So Tim, what do you think? Do you think that this is going to be an ongoing cycle, the same shit all over again? Or do you think there's going to be a moment where things are going to start shifting?
Well, we are in a election year, so I don't think there's going to be any amount of rational, logical conversation for the next 6 months. I would love, I'm just fascinated by how I've never seen such, and they're not even polarizing topics, like polarizing topics is like pedophilia is okay, right? Like raping a child
just got passed in LA, by the way.
Insane.
Right? Decriminalization of pedophilia.
I think there's a huge spread on that topic of like 99% of people think that's the craziest crap on the planet, and then there's like this insane evil group on this 1% that might think that it's okay, but they're also evil and they're pedophiles, so we can't really think about them.
Right.
But all of the issues we're talking about okay, how do we address racism within law enforcement, or how do we get rid of bad apples on the department, or how do we raise a group out of poverty, whatever the socioeconomic group is, or the gender of that group, or the race of that group. Insert any color or gender into that group. How do we help them? Those aren't polarizing. That should be like all of us be like, okay, let's all come together and figure out solutions. But for some reason, people just won't talk to each other. And even worse, I don't even think people know people that are on the opposing views. Like, we are further segregating ourselves from anybody that doesn't think like us.
Yep.
And that's crazy.
People can't agree to disagree.
Do you now, what would you say would be do you think social media is the main cause of why there's so much, discourse going on, but not healthy discourse, or what would you say would be another major player in causing this turmoil?
I mean, I think in the past 30 years, we have been aligning ourselves more and more by our beliefs. When I say aligning, so the place that I work and the job that I'm in is definitely more libertarian, and all the people that are in that industry are very freedom-loving people. So I'm surrounded by more of that. I'm really healthy. I go and I train, and I go and I work out, and I live out in the country, and people like that all kind of, like, congregate together. The places that I frequent as a consumer, as a patron, all of those people are kind of aligned with. So, like, we have just naturally been segregating ourselves. And then on social media, you just get to do it by the click of a button. Like, oh man, I really don't like what this brown lady down here says, so I'm not going to follow her. Right. But, like, man, I really like this white guy that's saying some super racist things. I'm going to follow him. So then, like, immediately you start creating these echo chambers of irrational fanatic ideas, or like the inverse from that kind of white supremacist guy, that person living in the city. It's like, okay, I'm going to follow Elon Omar. I'm going to follow Ocasio-Cortez. I'm going to follow Bernie Sanders. Rand Paul, I'm never going to listen to a word that guy says. Dan Crenshaw, he's from Texas, and he was in the military. I'm not going to follow him, unfollow. So then, like, immediately you automatically create an echo chamber of your own ideas. Now we have, like, this crazy racist over here on this far side, and you have, like, this crazy urban, like, arguably terrorist on this side that's going to be burning buildings and throwing bricks through windows or cans of food. I don't even know how they do it. Pulling over statues and thinking it's all part of a protest.
Right.
But there's no way that these two people can talk now, because they've automatically so far segregated themselves from any form of rational discourse. There's no hope.
Then on top of that too, like, another thing I tell people all the time is just like, they'll be like, oh my God, look how terrible everything's. Like, look, this is all that's going on. I go, the reason that's all that's going on in your social media is because that's all you're following. So 100%. Your social media is going to give you more of that shit. So if you believe that, that's because they're feeding you that. You want to see more of the other side, then go follow more of the other side. And now you'll see that there's actually not that much going on. And I think that's another big problem that, a lot of people is like, oh, we're going through this huge, crazy, time in our world where everything is insanely racist and this. And I'm like, guys, you got to understand, like, people grab one thing and social media exploits it and explodes it to make it seem like it's going on every single day at every moment everywhere. And I'm like, guys, if you go back, even, like, I'll talk about, my dad would tell me, he's like, you think it's bad now? He goes, even look at the 80s. He goes, when I was a kid in the 80s, he goes, I used to see way worse shit. Guys getting beat up by white guys in the street, beating up black guys in the street, doing this, doing that. And you would see that more often, but problem, there's no social media, so I think in that aspect, like, it's just, it really blows shit out of proportion. And then you got, your mass media and all that crap.
Well, and people are, taking these narratives and running with them when they're not getting the full story. They're not, diving into what's actually factually happening within side of some of these cases, And then,
I saw this fascinating. Who's that 17-year-old kid with the rifle that shot those three in Kenosha?
Oh, I know.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
So I follow, if you like went on my Twitter and you look at, man, I follow Dan Crenshaw, and I follow Rand Paul, and I follow Elon Omar, and I follow Ocasio-Cortez, and I follow Bernie Sanders, and I follow Chelsea Clinton, I follow Hillary Clinton, I follow Biden, I follow them all. Like, 'cause I want to hear what they're saying, and whether I agree with them or I don't want to agree with them, I want to understand what their perspective at least. And I saw this I think it was from ProPublica, and they took the Kyle Rittenhouse story when it was first reported, and from that moment, how the Divergent narratives from the very first, I'm talking seconds, words were omitted, and then words were added. You know, like it went from there's a shooting in Kenosha. It was a 17-year-old male to there's a white supremacist active shooter in Kenosha. And then the other side was bunch of rioters attack a teenage kid trying to kill him, and he saves himself in self-defense. Obviously, neither of those are true, right? Like both of those are blatant lies that stem back to a little bit of truth. And the further that those stories went, the very next, like 10 minutes later, the stories were even further away from the truth, from rational. And it was the same story, the same genesis, the same nucleus, but the abomination of truth that was so quickly spun into lies, I couldn't even fathom. And they had a timeline that went along with it, and it was, and they color coded them, and you could see like, oh, I'm gonna take out this word because this is somewhat neutral. I'm gonna add this word because this is so much more infuriating. And then on the other side, it's like, I'm going to add this word, and you're just, it was so disingenuous.
Because they want the sexy views. That's what they want. They want the views.
Yep.
They want what's going to attract people. That's it. You know, same with mass media and social media. That's what they want. And it's sad, but it even goes to the point where like you're seeing videos of people getting beaten up in the street or about to die. And there's just people whipped out your phone and people are screaming for help. And it's just like, yo, put your phone down, go help the actual person. Like, what are you doing? Oh, this is going to blow up viral on social media. What are you doing? Like what?
Well, what I'm doing is I'm taking that person's phone, I'm spiking it in the ground as I walk by to help that person.
100%. 100%. You know, and it's always interesting to me. I mean, it's easy for us, I feel like, to say, like, obviously social media is curating what we see and, you know, shifting our viewpoints or cultural viewpoints.
But they want to acknowledge it, but they are.
Right. But for the average American who works a 9-to-5 and isn't on, you know, social media and understands the ins and outs of the algorithm, it always surprises me how little they actually know about how curated their information has become.
Well, it's really hard to, this is a fun little experiment that everyone should do, and set up a separate account with a separate email, and from the initial launch of whatever that page is, let's just do Instagram. Follow NAACP, follow ACLU, follow every single group on, well, let's just say like the far left, and then set up another account and follow all the far right. I'm talking far right, like
Extreme
Proud
shit.
Boys. Yeah. And then start commenting and posting from each of them. See which one grows faster. It's crazy.
Very interesting.
Like one is absolutely immediately censored, and you won't be, even from your other page, you won't be able to find your other page. It'll be buried and hidden. Really? And then the access to that page, if you start using hashtags, so from your far right page, if you did like hashtag Black Lives Matter, and then you clicked on Black Lives Matter, and you went and tried to find your own page, never find it. But then your far left page, hashtag Black Lives Matter, that thing's going to populate everywhere at the top immediately.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you about that, because like, obviously I know it's an issue right there. So what's your take on that? What's your take on social media playing favoritism?
Man, so I really struggle with this. So I'm a libertarian, you know, I think that everybody should be able to do what they want. That's a private business. And like that company should be able to do what it wants with its own information, right? But what it's doing is it's manipulating other people's information to try and paint a picture in this curated, editorialized way that's not truthful, that's not real. So from Wikipedia, Kamala Harris on the debate floor last night, you could in real time watch Wikipedia start deleting things from her page that were inflammatory. So, for example, her record as a prosecutor in California. You know, she incarcerated more Black people than any prosecutor in the state of California ever. So
a
they're like,
lot of people
"Ooh."
don't like to talk about that. You know,
Yeah, so
they're like, oh, well, let's forget about that.
Yeah.
No.
Go to Wikipedia right now and see if that's on there.
Biden too.
It's gone. You know, Google, like if you Google Trump and it's like, Trump is a white supremacist. Trump is a puppet for Putin. Trump is a criminal. But then you type in Biden and it's like, Biden is our savior. Biden is our hope. Biden, and they're all naturally populating things. Like, why is this happening? Is there just that many people searching these things? No, of course not. Like Google is curating and projecting the trajectory of what people are wanting or what they want you to see. So with social media, they're playing with my words. They're my words. They think that once I type them in there, they own them. And that's the first problem is like, who really owns? Do I own my words? And do you have the right to see what I say equally to somebody else? And they obviously don't think that. They don't think I own my words, and they don't think that you have the right to see my words as equally to everyone else's because they don't like my words.
And now they're fact checking your content too.
Oh, fact checking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you know, even, you know, removing videos. Like I know JP Spears has had a lot of issues with that. He's been killing with the content lately. I've been dying over his content.
He's hilarious. I like that guy.
Hilarious. Yeah. But you know, they've removed a couple of his videos lately, you know, because they didn't agree with what he was saying. And it's just
it was insane
to me.
So one of the videos they
it's like
pulled
satire. You know, it's all satire.
So it was a satire video, but all of the data that he said in that satire video, it was all direct source from the CDC.
Right.
Like every single stat, the primary source, like the original and only source he got that data from was the CDC. So their fact checkers were like, I don't agree with what this guy says. It doesn't matter if it's factual, because it was. I just don't like it. So we're going to say that this is false. But they're fact checkers.
Yeah.
That should be criminal to me. You know, like how is that not liable?
I mean, where do you think that we go from here, and how can we make sure that we are able to express our voices freely, especially when we do include factual information, right? Even if people don't agree with it.
One is
Tim
transparency.
We got the Tim Kennedy gram. That's it.
Yeah. I think everybody is getting so frustrated with this, and the social medias are the companies are denying it, right? They're like, they're not even denying it. They're just not acknowledging it. I think we're going to be at a breaking point where people are going to, I'm having friends that are like, I'm just done. I'm disconnecting. And they're getting rid of Instagram. They're getting rid of Twitter. They're getting rid of Facebook. They're getting rid of TikTok. They're getting rid of Snapchat. They're just like, I'm done. They're like going to flip phones. I don't know if that is a trend that people are going to follow. I think the two solutions are, one, transparency. So I know when I'm shadow banned, like there's no question. Yeah. I go from garnering 2,000 to 3,000 new followers every single day to, like, right now I've been at 858,000 for the past week. I've not gained a single fan in a week. And that was the week before that, I was gaining 2,000 fans a day.
I saw your post the other day. Yeah, I posted something up. Yeah, I thought that was insane. And
where my page was hidden?
Yeah, that one. I saw that.
Yeah, where you type in Tim Kennedy MMA, and there's no
and I was
Tim
like,
Kennedy
holy
MMA.
shit. Like, do you post that? And I was like, hold up, let me see. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, nah. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah, they'd literally hide my account. Like, there's a fake account. There's a phishing account. There is a fan account. And then there was 4 fraudulent accounts.
I was about to say.
And then down there, somewhere else, if you keep scrolling, is the verified account with nearly 1 million followers.
Insane.
That's, incredible.
So let me ask you, because I know you brought up about people, possibly doing a trend of not being on social media, taking off these platforms. So what do we do for these, business owners and operators who use social media heavily for their companies, for their businesses online, who are not in favor with a lot of stuff, but if they do jeopardize leaving that it will crush them completely. What would you say is the best route for some of these people to take? Obviously, in a matter of like thinking it through and knowing how to do it correctly so they don't suffer from it.
Yeah. I think transparency with the social media companies, and then we recognize them as utility. Where, you know, I can't govern a private company, but it's not okay if I go to pick up my phone and call my conservative uncle, and the phone company's like, I don't want you to talk to that conservative uncle, so I'm not going to let this phone call go through. That's essentially what the social media companies are doing. But we know that's not okay with a phone line, because that's a utility. And so that is the main way people are communicating now, is social media. And honestly, like, you know, a landline phone. Do you guys even have landline phones?
Oh,
I used to have one growing up. Yeah, I remember
Just
that.
my
I used to have a
grandparents.
rotary phone growing up.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are so annotated. Like the mechanism that made the phone line a utility that could, you know, you had to have a search warrant to tap it. The phone company just can be like, we're not going to allow these people to talk because we don't want them to. Obviously, that's not okay. That same approach could be used for social media companies. So they have to do it fair, you know, transparent and fair.
Obviously, you're, you know, one of the, you know, I would say biggest, you know, Second Amendment right people on social media right now. You know, I could name another couple of few, like Colin Noir. I like him a lot too, as well.
Oh, I like Colin.
Yeah. How do you feel about a lot of the politicians nowadays saying that they not only want to make certain guns illegal, but they want to be able to confiscate your guns? You know, as an American, one of the best things that we can have is the right to protect ourselves and our family. You know, and I think this kind of ties into social media as well, you know, is the polarization of that, and that right that we have as an American to be able to do so safely.
Yeah. I don't know how the founding fathers got it right, where they knew they knew human nature, and they looked back in time in history, and they looked at how a people could be strong and independent and self-reliant. And, you know, I value the Second Amendment just as much as I value the First Amendment, and the Fifth and the Fourth. Like, I love them all. And, like, I don't want somebody able to walk through my door and be like, hey, I'm going to search your home. I'm like, not without due process and your search warrant. You're not, you know,
Right.
I'm going to take this person and I'm going to lock them up forever. No, you're not. Like, fortunately, I actually have a Constitution right there in my little fanny pack gun bag.
Amazing document.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. So obviously I fought in the war in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I love my job. And I'll show you. Come here. You want to see something crazy?
Yes.
Let's go.
Ooh.
What would you call that?
An absolute beauty.
Protection.
Yeah. So that's a musket. Like, that is, I mean, when you do it, when people are making the argument about the Second Amendment, like, oh, that was designed for like muzzle loading black powder muskets.
Like, I got one.
No, that was an Afghani.
Wow.
gun.
That's crazy.
I fought a guy. We've been fighting there for 20 years, and they use muskets.
Wow.
So when you ask, like, why does the individual need to have this gun? And it's because they say, like, when we're talking about the American military might, there's no way that a single individual could be able to resist the power of the American military. And I giggle and I laugh. And I think about the past 20 years where we've been getting our ass kicked by goat herders and goat farmers in the hills of Afghanistan. You're like, no, yeah, sure. I got a Barrett 50 cal right here with a suppressor right behind it.
Sick.
You know, and like two
Unreal.
safes of craziness. Like, but I had that gun in Afghanistan, and we're losing to guys with muskets. So, I mean, it all comes down to that individual responsibility, that one person with the belief and dedication and discipline to stand up for what they believe, that's how we became who we are as a country, right? We looked at the British and we're like, no, we're not going to pay those taxes. No, you don't get to tell me where I'm going to live, what I'm going to do, or how much of my crop I have to give to you. I'm not going to do it. Not going to allow that. And matter of fact, I'm going to fight you over it. And so then here we are, 2020. And we have forgotten who we were and where we came from. And I don't want to be in a civil war. I know what that's like. I've fought in them. But I'm not going to go any other direction besides towards the direction of freedom.
100%. And I was going to ask you that next was, where do you see that going? Where do you see things going, post, election, like knowing, depending on who gets voted in, where do you see that? Do you see something stirring up from that? Do you think it's just going to be talk, or do you actually believe that something will spill out depending who gets voted in?
I think that there is going to be riots and looting if Trump is reelected.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think everyone thinks that's going to happen.
Yeah.
For sure.
Reelect, or if Biden is elected, there's going to be riots in the street.
Yeah, I don't.
No, we're too busy working.
Yep.
Yeah.
Might be a few noises, but nothing crazy.
Well, that's why it blows my mind too, like where this narrative that white supremacists are going through Portland and Seattle and New York City, like absolutely fucking it up and, going into Melrose and stealing Gucci bags. Like, I don't see that.
I don't
right? Like, but it's,
I don't know. And I definitely never seen any photos of white doing anything like that. I've never seen any video of it.
Right.
All I see is people saying it's happening.
Yep.
When I look at video, I see this. Yeah, the video proof of some guy walking by with a brick and throwing it through a Bank of America. That is not a white supremacist. That is Antifa.
Yeah.
That is super acting like a fascist.
But Tim, Antifa's a myth, though. Antifa.
Yeah.
Really? So where are the riot shields coming from? Where are these high-powered lasers coming from? They're just appearing out of nowhere.
No, they're being
just
funded.
Their thoughts in a book too. I don't understand the thought process behind that.
Yeah.
And then if Biden gets voted in, COVID's gonna magically disappear.
Yeah, I think on November.
Yeah, I think everything will calm down a little bit.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really interesting, I think, though, just to see getting closer to the elections, how people I think are gonna react during the when actually people have to go to the polls and elect. I think that's gonna be very interesting how that behavior of people is gonna play out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm physically I'm the military. I can get an absentee ballot.
Yeah, we have them down here in Florida as well. It's huge.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk in and vote.
Yeah,
Yep,
same here.
Same here. I
Same
said
here.
the same thing.
Ready to
I'm
go.
going in.
Well, and where did that whole, that was such a big fiasco too, right? The whole post office scandal, and then you don't hear anything about that anymore. That's all gone. That was in a flash pan.
It's all bull.
Yeah.
It was bull. I mean, there's you can only hold on to a lie for so long before people are like, oh wait a second, they do this every year, regardless if it's an election year. Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean, where does it end? Do you think that we can get back to a place where we can have civil conversations about politics? I mean, not saying that they've ever been completely civil. Obviously there's always those radicalized people on both ends. But
always gonna be.
Do you think we can get back to a place where the country can actually have conversations that allow people who elect the politicians to actually be served in ways that they need to, right? Improving on our infrastructure, reducing the deficit.
We, the people, have to get our balls back, and we have to make politicians fear us again. Right now we're lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah.
And
they're all celebrity, right? They have a ton of celebrity for whatever reason.
Yep.
I get so frustrated looking at politician A, politician B. They've been in politics 30 years. Their salary has been, you know, like 60,000 to 120,000, and they're worth $300 million. They've never had a real job in their life. My first real job was at 13, you know, like getting paid cash for hanging fence on a ranch. Like my first W-2 was as a 16-year-old. Like my first company was when I was 23.
It's the trenches.
Yeah. And then I like look at this person that's been a public servant that's going into their salon to get their hair did and go back to their, you know, $10 million house. And you're not gonna, I know where this goes. I've been to places where people like you continue to rule the way that you're ruling, and you're not gonna like how this turns out. Or you can fix it yourself, you know?
And it, you know, it's really funny that a lot of these politicians now, especially on the Democratic side, want to, you know, put term limits on the Supreme Court justices. It's like, well, why don't we put term limits on you then? You know, like,
exactly.
Okay, perfect. You can only have, you know, one term for, you know, 8, 12 years, whatever it is, but then you're out, you know, because once you spend a decade in politics, like, you know, we got to get some fresh feet in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't want to even, you know, they don't even want to consider that at all.
I think
no. We need to stay in here for 47 years and do nothing.
That happen. Term limits, that needs to happen soon.
Yeah. I think what scares me too is what is that?
Yes.
Oh,
ammunition.
the ammo. Let's go. Ooh. I was going to say, I think what scares me though is like, you know, where you're seeing a lot of this youth just being brainwashed, you know, and like just seeing this extreme one-sided way. And I don't know. What scares me is that, you know, later as the years go by, 15, 20 years later, 30 years later, those are going to be some of the ones you're seeing stepping into these positions.
Oh, we already see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're already seeing them. I think it's just going to get, you know, even crazier.
Yeah. Yeah. I love reading the rap sheets of the kids in Portland, Oregon, when they get arrested for, you know, felony this, felony that. And you're like, you're a college graduate with a degree in feminist studies and you're frustrated with your life. Please tell me more about how you got here. You know, please tell me how the system really screwed you. You white, college educated person that just threw a brick into somebody's private building.
Yep. Right.
I'm fascinated to hear. I'm real curious about this.
Yeah. Whose parents paid for them to go to like Pepperdine.
And yet your life is so miserable, but you know, any other child around the world would love to trade spots with you to have the opportunity
for a second.
For a second.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. And it's just like, that's where I'm like, man, I don't understand where people can just like learn to appreciate. Like, honestly, where the hell are you going to go else around the world that you can get the amount of opportunity that you can here in the United States of America? Like, honestly, name one, and don't name Canada. You know, like name one. There really isn't. Like, there really isn't. Like, and that's the thing. Like, just the way people are being born into this world is just like going back to what you said. It's just wanting it easy. Feel like they deserve it. Not wanting to put in that work. You know, mom and dad give me this. You know, all that. Like, if you look back and you ask a lot of the people nowadays, would you ever trade your life with your grandparents or your great grandparents? They'll say no, of course not.
Hell no.
You know, and that's the biggest thing. It's just like, guys, when are you gonna wake up and actually fucking do the work? Like, when are you gonna realize, like, you know, life isn't about hand-me-outs. Life is about fucking going out there and getting it, making shit happen. Like, that's where you feel good. That's when confidence comes out. You know, the reason you put a lot of the times these people put themselves in these groups is because you have these insecurities and you want to hide these insecurities with the people within your group, you know, knowing that, you know, you feel that you're not good enough to be able to make this much money. And that's why you think money's bad, or because, you know, you feel this is going on, you know, so you put yourself in this group to make yourself feel good with another group of people instead of just, you know, facing it, doing something about it and making that shit happen.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, insert any kind of famous person, and they hopped in a helicopter, and that helicopter took them to the top of Everest, and that person took a picture at the top of Everest and was like, yeah, I got here. And then they get in their helicopter and they fly back down. Would anyone 7 billion of us on this planet, would any of us look at that person and be like, yeah, that guy's got it together?
Yeah, you killed it.
Yeah. Like, what a loser, right? Like,
Yeah.
the only time that we ever acknowledge and appreciate somebody is when they struggle and the journey is this arduous process. And then we're like, yeah, dude, that dude earned that. Right. And they were like, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah. No, I mean, in my personal life, you know, when I look back on some of the, you know, things that I had to go through, the other side of that, you know, when I got through it was some of the best feelings I ever had, you know, like even in the gym, right? Like you kill yourself through like a super intense program. And by the end of it, you're like, okay, well, you know, my vert's higher, you know, I got 30 pounds on my deadlift, my VO2 max went up, and I am feeling and moving better than I ever have. Like, okay, well, that was all worth it then. You know,
Yeah,
I want to get more, and now that I got that kind of hunger in me, I'm like, I want to get more of that.
More of that. With sex just got better. Sleep just got better.
Woo.
Food eating better. I look sick. Give me more of that.
I heard through the grapevine that you're savage in the weight room. Our boy Juan Leja told us that.
Dude, Juan's a beast.
He's got the quads, man. Woo. Him and Eric together, it's like,
yeah,
it's a dynamic duo.
I'll just drop in there, you know, every couple of months just to remind them. Like they got all their times written on the wall, and I'll just be like, all right, I'm gonna break that one. I'm gonna break that one. I'm gonna break that one. Break that one. And then I go and I break things, and then I leave. And Juan's just like, hey man, come work out with this. Like, no man, I'm just here to take your soul, and then I'm gonna leave.
That's awesome.
I'm here to leave you like shit, so you actually have to go out there and work harder.
Someone's got to humble that guy. He's a tank, man.
No, he's
a monster. In 3 or 4, he's on this pretty rad program right now that he's gonna be he already is a phenom, but he's gonna be a problem if you want to try to put up some numbers about kind of like a volume of work capacity.
Oh yeah. Now him and his brother Eric too, man. Like that guy's got a motor like no one else. To be like, he'll go run like 5 miles and come in and be like, you want to work out? Like, yeah, sure. I got like an hour. He's like, no, I'm gonna work out for like 2.5 hours. I'm gonna go for another run. I'm like, where is this coming from? Where is this energy coming from?
Energy in the time.
Yeah. Like I need to hit the cold plunge for like 30 minutes after and then take like an hour-and-a-half nap if I did all that work. Like
and eat like a motherfucker.
They're girls too.
Yeah.
One and girls are athletes.
Yeah. Eric's girlfriend's from here in Miami, actually.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Man, she's I got to work with her a couple of weeks ago, and first of all, what a gem. She's just so sweet. Yeah. But she is an athlete.
Yeah. Shout out to Francesca.
Yep. Shout out.
Yeah. Balance, mobile, flexible, powerful, endurance, and of course beautiful. But yeah. And then Juan's girlfriend,
Francesca again.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, Kaylee too, right? That's Juan's girlfriend. She's super strong. She's got some real potential in the gym.
The wall of times and scores.
I know something happens to you when you go to Texas, huh? Or you live in Texas.
It's the tacos. It's got to be the tacos, right? The water, something there.
So when I asked for an extra 5 minutes and I took 8. I was eating tacos.
Yeah. Because I was going to tell you, I was eating tacos.
Yeah. I had a little cappuccino. I got my little arrow. This is where I got my tacos from. My buddy Shane Steiner's restaurant. Little iced tea.
When we go back, we definitely got hit at that spot.
Yeah, for sure. Chicharron or El Pastor? What's your favorite taco?
Oh, I love El Pastor. I love carnitas.
Oof, I love carnitas.
This one, they took sirloin, and I don't know how they did this, but they like forced extra moisture in it through this process they were trying to explain, where they're in like this vacuum sealed pressurized chamber where they add the flavor and moisture and it gets sucked into the meat. It sounded like brining under pressure.
That's interesting.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Like this is really sciencey shit right now. But I'm just going to say that this is one of the best steak tacos I've ever had. And whoever's in the back making it, I want to go make out with them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so, we'll have to get the address from you when we come down to Austin.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Arrows on 360.
Awesome.
So where do the best tacos come out of? Are they from the actual little trailers parked around the side of the streets, or they?
Yeah, Juan. The last time we were in Austin, Juan brought us to this like hole in the wall, like
good.
street taco place in some parking lot. I can't remember what it was called, but it was fire. He said it was like his favorite spot. I can't remember what it's called though.
Papalote?
Maybe. I don't know. It's like a almost kind of looks like a Airstream trailer.
Has a little tent covering.
It's in like the parking lot of like a Save and Pay or some shit.
Man, I'm gonna be mad if he knows of a place that I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just go and break his numbers again. That's it.
Yeah. I'm gonna find out. There's no way he knows a place that I haven't been to.
I'm sure you've been there. I'm sure.
Yeah, I have to. You don't get a body like this without eating a plethora of tacos.
Yeah, see, that's the problem in Miami here, man. Is that too much of the Latin food down here is like cream sauces, you know, and then we get all
Josh,
that ruins. I don't want any of that.
I've never seen anyone eat more empanadas and croquetas than this guy right here. It's
I
unbelievable.
love empanadas though.
I'm a big empanada guy. That's why I love living down here. It's like every 5 blocks you can find like 4 empanada places. You know, like
tell me you're gonna take croissant dough and you're gonna stuff it with meat, eggs, and cheese.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm sold.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I'm sold.
And you could put anything in the empanada. Really?
Yeah.
You could just create your own and put whatever the hell you want inside of that.
Yeah. My favorite combo is like a good meat, like a chicken and mushroom, or like a beef and bell peppers, sun-dried tomatoes, egg and egg and sun-dried tomatoes. That's a good one. I like empanadas.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry now.
I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to tear up those Miami empanadas.
Yeah, right, for sure.
What are you guys doing tomorrow?
I'm actually going to Puerto Rico.
And I'm going to Cali.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, taking a week off, man. Be nice.
I was gonna tell you. So tomorrow we're gonna go to Rogue American Apparel. We're gonna do a strongman workout, doing a Conan wheel, some big heavy stones, and then we finish with like this. It's somewhere between like a 3 to 6 minute finisher where it's like flip a 400-pound tire, lift 2 125-pound stones. It's like a strongman event, like a culminating moment where you have to do some deep, deep soul searching, but you're also in front of all your friends. So if you don't and you quit, well, we're gonna kick you out of the tribe.
There you go. Listen, you gotta hold people accountable and give them shit when they don't follow.
Well, that was my version of an invitation. I say you could come and get tacos with me. I would
love that.
We're gonna have to book a ticket.
Yeah, we'll come out for sure.
Workout. Probably get embarrassed.
Oh, I'm gonna give it my all though. I'm not gonna give up.
No, I'm gonna give.
I'm not gonna give up.
I'll give it my. Not just kidding.
Now, would you say like strongman, workouts are some of your favorite? Like, what type of training do you really, get attracted to?
Like Dirty Dozen formats will like 12 exercises a release. So a couple of days ago we did 50 calories on the bike, 50 calories on the skier, 50 calories on the rower, 50 burpees, 50 pull-ups, 50 48 kilo kettlebell swings, 50 man makers, 50 jumping air squats.
Josh is sweating already.
I've been sweating the whole time.
50 handstand push-ups. So there's 12 exercises of 50 reps. And
what's your time on that usually? Like
30 minutes.
Really? Flying through it. Wow. You're a savage.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you asked which ones I like the most. And of course I'm going to like the things that I'm the best at. Right. So I'm really good at like gaming muscle endurance stuff. Okay. So I'll get on the bike and, I'm like at 65 RPM. So I'm on the rower at like a 145, 140 pace. I'm on the skier at like a 135, 140 pace. Straight.
I've seen you on that skier before. Ripping it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite piece of cardio equipment is that skier. Just something about violently pulling that thing that just makes me feel like a real man,
I love the sound of the fan. When you start getting it up there, when you're like a sub 130 pace, and it's like, wing, wing, wing. I love that thing.
Josh is lying. Josh just likes when I get on it and he's standing in front collecting air.
Yeah, well, it gets hot down here. It gets the humidity down here, man. It gets to you,
Yeah.
So are we gonna
Yeah,
see
so those are my favorite workouts.
Are we gonna see you ever compete in anything? Training
Yeah.
for?
Yeah, I competed in grappling last year. I'm looking at the tactical games this year,
Okay.
where it's like CrossFit meets shooting.
Mm-hmm. Is that live streamed anywhere, like online, or
Yeah.
where can you find that? Tactical games, just Google it.
Yeah, I think 511 live streams it. And the tactical games themselves, like the CrossFit games, they live stream them.
So it's workout and then actual, shooting stuff.
It's like a physical event that is dovetailed with a shooting event.
Are we gonna see that guy? What's his name? Real World Tactical in there?
I don't know who that is.
Darren Tactical is the guy.
Is that his name?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. He's does a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and he's in.
Yeah, I think he's out on the West Coast in LA.
No, he's here. He's Miami.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's Miami. I think he's for First Form.
Okay.
The stuff was First Form. He's like an athlete for them. But
Is
you
he a
should look him
shooter?
up. Yeah, that's what I think he trains a SWAT. He trains SWAT guys. But
No, I didn't ask if he trains people. I said, is he a shooter?
He is a shooter.
There's lots of people that train people that can't actually really shoot.
That's a fair point.
No, he's a shooter. He's a shooter.
All right. Yeah. You follow like Mick Dojo?
No, you gotta
No.
look him up.
Yeah,
Good.
they're hilarious. So they follow like martial arts instructors that are total charlatans.
Okay.
That are like, all right, so this is how you like make somebody's heart explode. You're like, you're gonna kill.
Those are some of my favorite videos.
Oh yeah, and he calls them all out. Well, in the shooting world, there's lots of those where they're like, oh yeah, I was like SWAT this, or I like taught here, and then you see him shoot, and you're like, ooh, you should not demo if that's what you say you do, because you are not good.
I think we see that in the personal training world too.
Oh my god, all the time. Well, I'm a celebrity trainer. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that means nothing.
And then you see them kettlebell, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I train high-level executives. Okay, no one cares. No, you can't deadlift. Your deadlift makes me want to poke my eyes out.
And you're fat.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about fitness.
Yeah.
Why are you wearing a mask in the gym?
I haven't been back in it. They're still making people wear masks in the gym here in Miami. I haven't been back since they shut everything down.
I can't. I'm just. I can't.
No, come here. Work out with me.
Yeah. No, we're down. We
will definitely let you know when we're planning to go out there. Probably right after January, February on there.
Yeah.
Cool.
We've been talking about it. We definitely want to go out there, hit up some of the Onyx guys, Eric and Juan, and we'll definitely hit you up, bro. We definitely got to experience what it is to train with you.
Yeah. I want to say,
just don't make this guy run. He won't run.
No, I'll do some sprints. I'm not doing any long distance. I'll do sprints. I like sprints. I'll do sprints. I love the skier. I'm not running long distance.
I don't like running long distance.
Tell him.
When's the last time you ran?
I run.
When?
I run around my neighborhood.
No,
Do you like put your hair up in a ponytail? And
Exactly. I let my hair flow.
He's a savage though, man. When he gets going,
I believe it.
he's like a little tank. He'll sneak up on you. But hey, man, we almost hit an hour. We don't want to take up too much of your time. Obviously, you're super busy. I want to say thank you for coming on.
A pleasure.
A pleasure.
It's you.
Yeah, we're excited. We can't wait to take you up on that offer. Come to Austin, smash some tacos, man.
Sounds good, guys.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one last thing.
Yep.
What's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today?
If it's easy and if it's free, fuck it. You don't want it. Everything worth having, you got to earn. And the best way to earn it is through blood, sweat, and tears. So go and do it.
You guys heard it from Tim Kennedy himself. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
Much
it, man.
love, guys.
Take care.